Hello and welcome back to my airline on Airlinesim, British Atlantic Airways and Global Freightways. I'll do a bit of a joint update because it's been so long since my last video. I've just been working too much, and the times where I thought I could do a video, I just didn't feel like it, basically. So I do apologise for that. However, where to begin? So it's been about a month and a half, I would say, since my last video. And the big news has been the double whammy of the low Ajax and the high fuel prices has crippled the server, basically. So at the end of my last video, I think I was talking about like expanding a few smaller cities around the east coast of the US, and maybe I think it was Colombia and all that. All of them had to be put on hold, basically because. So you see here, I think it's about April. I think it's my last video. So if we go to like here, the Ajax here. So about 950 means you're getting about 100% of the demand. The usual demand you expect is about there. It went all the way down. It went all the way down to below sort of 800. I know it doesn't quite look like it, but it did go into the 700s. And that drop off for some airlines, especially airlines that don't rely on hubs, can knock 20% off your load factor, which can make you go from making 50 million a week in profit down to 5 million a week. And I certainly felt it. British Atlantic Airways went from making about 70 million profit down to less than 10. And that's a passenger airline with multiple revenue streams. A cargo airline like Global Freightways, it was hard. And midway through this month here, I actually made a few losses. Like I made about 2.7 million loss one week, about a 10 million loss the next week, because it just crippled the server. And not just that, if you look here, the fuel prices. So if I go here, hang on, let me just. There you go. It was about 24, I think. AS dollars. AS is its own currency per litre. And it basically doubled if you look. So 20 is up to 40. I think it's about 45 at the moment. Let's have a look actually. So fuel prices. Oh, it's gone down to 40. It was 44 last week. Fuel prices are 40 at the moment. So with that, with the high fuel prices, people's load factors going down, airlines started going bankrupt across the server. Like, so if any of you've watched like my second or third video where I just ranted about how poor of airlines networks are, some of them went, and it actually opened up a lot of expansion for me, basically, especially with my freight airlines. So the big news for British Atlantic Airways was British Skies went under. No, I don't. I think the player just quit. I'm not. I doubt he was losing money, but I think he could see obviously it needed a lot of work, and I think he just hadn't played for a while, so he quit. So apart from a couple of other smaller airlines, like I think there's one here, Explorer Europe. There's a few smaller airlines in England at the moment. I am the main airline in England now, so when British Airways went under, I did buy a few more A321s. I did expand British Atlantic Airways a little bit, up some prices because obviously I've got Monopoly now. And yeah, British Atlantic Airways is just printing money, but I've done passenger airlines to death. I've been focusing on my cargo airline. And some of you may have seen a few differences, especially on this drop down here, about or on the map here about how far we've expanded since my last video. So there was a very frustrating airline in Europe that was a passenger airline called Florence Air, and I'm sorry, Florence Air, the person who ran that airline, if you're watching us. From a cargo airline perspective, you were super annoying because you had bases at Leipzig and Liège. Now, my success, what I've sort of had success with Global Freightways, is hubbing, obviously at Louisville. Obviously, that's a cargo airport, right? It's not a massive passenger airport. So I'm not competing with belly cargo. That's the main reason for all of my hubs. So if I go to Global Freightways here, this is the reason for Alliance Fort Worth. There's no passenger flights there. Rockford, no passenger flights there. Ontario is mainly a cargo airport. The only one I could say is maybe Miami. Is maybe the only airport I fly into that's not like just cargo focused. It's actually a big hub. So when it went to Europe, I was looking at East Midlands. I was looking at Liège. I was looking at Leipzig. I was looking at Cologne, um, Zaragoza in Ostend, Maastricht. I probably mispronounced that. But they were all sort of taken, and obviously the main one is Leipzig. Now, Florence Air ran a passenger airline with about 4,000 flights out of Leipzig. There was no slots. And of course, I didn't want to compete with a belly cargo. He went under. And I bought up all the 757s that are on the market. I think I've got the most. Yeah, I've got 61 757s. And that's, I've just forgotten, another big cargo airline went under called Ezhou Cargo, who was based out of Memphis, I think. And they had loads of 757s as well. So this all happened around last 2 weeks ago. So there was this sort of perfect storm where the Ezhou Cargo went under, so loads of second-hand 757s came on the market, and Leipzig came open. So I jumped on there, went on to Leipzig, and it's been a success. So if I go to like Budapest, okay, that one's not doing as well as I thought. Let's try this one. Oh, yeah, Frankfurt. There you go. Like Madrid. Yeah, so it's got about a 75% load factor. It's doing really well. It's not the complete article, but I've gone to all the main airports, and today, if you see here the dual hub LGG, that's Liège. So a bit like my dual hub with Louisville and Rockford, where Rockford is an airport where outside of the main waves of Louisville, I can sort of do a secondary hub. I'm doing the same with Liège. So Liège is my Rockford in Europe. So how's that looking at the moment is I've only done the dual hubbing planes here. So all of these were dual hub LGG. They were scheduled today. So if I go to, for example, this flight here, so you see it goes Liège. Sorry, no, it goes Leipzig, Liège. So there's this hub here at Liège. So we go here. It's not a dual hub. Here's another one. So 1,600 to 1,700 hours at Liège is a wave at Liège. Now, obviously, I still need to build my own Liège base, a bit like I've done with Rockford. I've got 21 planes here ready to get a second wave into Liège and really create a second European base there. I did start an East Midlands base, but it failed miserably, especially when the demand crashed and all these other airlines were still there in Europe and everything. So I will go back to East Midlands, just because I'm from the UK and like I've got good memories there. So yeah. However, let's show you how that looks now. So this, obviously this isn't anything like my American network. Obviously, look at those pretty patterns of webs there, but you can sort of see the start of the dual hub going on there. Obviously, those 21 planes will beef out the Liège hub. And obviously this is not finished either. Obviously, I'm fairly certain I need a flight to Billund, obviously. But yeah. So now the eagle-eyed of you has also noticed my China expansion over here. Now this China, so Leipzig came first, China came second. Now, you know that philosophy where I don't want to compete with belly cargo at the main hubs. Obviously, in China, there's Hong Kong, there's Shenzhen, there's Guangzhou, there's Beijing, there's Shanghai, there's Hangzhou, there's all these massive airports. I could have even tried Singapore. I could have tried Taipei. I could have even based out of Seoul. But all of these airports have the belly cargo that players just dump the prices on the belly cargo just to fill it up to break even so they're not losing money on it, basically. So I was doing research in China, and I think in 2023, and this is just incredible, sometimes when you read about China and some of the infrastructure in China, it's absolutely phenomenal. I watched a video about Shenzhen the other day, about how it's like the Chinese capitalist city experiment, and it's like super futuristic and all this lot. Not that I agree with everything the Chinese do, obviously, but yeah. Anyway, a part of this is there's an airline in China called SF Airlines. They're kind of like, I guess they're trying to be like the FedEx or UPS of China. They're not as big, but they're mainly focused in China. But what they did was they built an airport. So this is like FedEx building a cargo airport. They built the airport themselves. And it's called Ezhou, I think. So there you go. If I hang over it, Ezhou, I don't know how to pronounce that. But it's China's first dedicated cargo airport. And here's a photo of what it looks like in 2026. That's midnight, and that's just one of the stands. If I show you the airport here, let me get rid of routes. Go to satellite. Here we go. As you can tell, it's like a brand new airport. So what we were looking at there, so this photo here is looking down there, but at night all of this is full with SF aircraft and other airlines. It's not just SF Airlines. I mean, quite a few airlines from around the area now use it, and the reason, if I show you back at the routes and go back to map, is it's basically in the middle of China. So it was something like an hour and a half flight from all major cities or something, and literally just down the road from Wuhan, which is also a massive cargo industrial city. So that's why it was built in real life, and I just thought, I'm going to jump on it. I'm going to go for it. And my lord, has it worked. It has worked an absolute treat. Let me have a look. Let's pick a 757. Let's do Guangzhou. Look at that. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And then obviously, several of my 757s have gone over there. So this has got a few 700s, 737 800s, 757s, and 767s here. So if I go here, this is a bit of a low one there. What's this one doing? This one is doing Shanghai. But if you have a look here, 384 from own feeder. It's now become my Asia hub. And this Asia hub will become, when it's all fully fledged out, probably nearly as big as my Louisville hub. I suspect, is going to be very, very big. When I expand and everything. But then I had another dilemma. How am I going to link all of these three areas of the world together? Do I just fly 767s? Now, for those who know the game, I go to my fleet here. Ignore this 747. That's being leased out. But you get a 15% maintenance penalty for every fleet type you have after 3. So I've got 737s, which is 1, 757s, which is 2, and 767s, which is 3, and then I'm taking a hit on the 4th, which is the Dash 8s. So if I add another long haul plane, I've got to add 15% to my maintenance costs, which would make me not profitable. So what I did was I created Dynasty Air Cargo. I know, what a name, right? And this is going to be based out of Ezhou in China, but they're basically going to be used, and this was set up over the last 2 days as well. It's a bit of an experiment. I've never used 747s before in this game. Obviously, 747s are awesome. Obviously, there's lots of these cargo airlines popping up with these 747 fleets and 777 fleets. And they're going to be linking, or they're going to be taking over Global Freightways long haul network. So obviously they interline with, it's interlining with my own airline, obviously. But they're going to basically take over. Now, they were all scheduled, I think, last night. So these aren't fully, it's 3 days. It is 3 days for a full cycle, right? And I've put a couple of them on Louisville to Memphis. An airline in Memphis went under. But for example, if I go here, this is Louisville to Heathrow, right? Because Heathrow's British Atlantic Airways, there's belly cargo there. 34% full after 1 day out of 3. So that will probably go up to 60-70% when it's full. Only 8,000 loss. I'll be making profit on 38% full, which means I can lower the prices and really go for it. Let's try Ontario here. So this is in flight now at the moment. Only 2,000 loss, but making that. And again, it's only been scheduled for half a day. I expect all of these to fill up another 10-20%. And I just got this Dash 8 today. So scheduled that now. That's looking. I've got a Rockford flight there. Let's have a look here. It's Memphis. I mean, this one's full, but it's Memphis to Louisville. It's only just down the road. 21,000 profit. Right. Look, they are going to be integrated into the network. Let's be real here. But let's have a look at Ezhou to Heathrow here. Okay, but look at the amount of cargo they're shifting after a day. So this is a bit of experiment. This may not work. But I think I'm kind of determined to make it work. In a way. I'll just keep playing with it until it works. This isn't going to be a huge fleet. I may even buy 777s with it. But yeah, so that's where we're at the moment. The plan at the moment is, if I go back to Global Freightways, is I need to schedule these 21 planes out of Liège to create my secondary European route hub. Also, Memphis is open. So I go to Memphis here. I'll say it's open. There is All Japan Airways hub in there. But I I'm going to create a small hub there. Obviously, there's no point me setting up another mega hub there, because obviously I'll just be competing with myself in Louisville. But there's so much cargo demand, I'll be stupid just to leave it there, not doing anything. So I think at a Liège hub next, expand Dynasty Air Cargo, and then maybe if I don't take another 2 months off, I'll then update you again on the next video. So yeah, I'm looking good, and look at this. I love this. 747s, doing really well. I am going to be. They're going to be integrating into my long haul network. I'm going to replace my anchorage to Louisville hub there. If I go to flight schedule, so at the moment this is the flights out of Ezhou on the 747s. Here's the Leipzig ones. So it's just 2 a day, basically. Well, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 a day. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 into Louisville. A couple into Ontario. Every now and again. But yeah, very happy with that. So I'm hoping, eventually that Dynasty will have a few, maybe like 20, 25 747s or long haul flights, and they're just going to be linking all my hubs together. So if you have a look here, so my European hub, obviously, my secondary hub's going to be there. I am obviously going to have to do another hub somewhere else, maybe down here, or maybe Istanbul, I don't know. I obviously need a South American hub, I need an African hub, I need an Australia hub. Eventually I will be worldwide. Obviously I'm going to do a hub somewhere in the middle here, maybe like Astana or Bishkek or something. But yeah, that's the update. Yeah, it's a vastly different world to when I last uploaded. So yeah, thank you for listening, and here's to the next episode not being a month and a half away. All right, bye-bye. Thank you.